All right, what's up, guys? So in this video, I want to go over a couple of foundational things that you need to adopt to even compete in the space of any business, but especially on software, social media, high leverage businesses. And normally I go into the nitty gritty stuff and the detailed stuff, but I think there is a place for people who post almost motivational and generic advice on how to get to the next level. I've gone through so many businesses, guys. Like I said in the last video, self-employed, turned into a video agency, realized, don't want to do that. I got psyoped by these real estate people on YouTube. Thought Airbnb was the way, bought an Airbnb 300 miles away from my house, sold my Mercedes, bought a 1998 truck, went to the Airbnb, furnished it, realized a year later, not exactly the passive income I was looking for. It was very high maintenance. AI came out and I realized, okay, software is probably the best. I was listening to a Naval podcast and he said software and social media is the highest leverage businesses, period. And all the people that I looked up to on YouTube and whatnot, they were doing software and social media, but they were selling you on like a different business model. But in the back end, that's what they were doing. And it felt like I kind of like broke out of like the psyop of trying to find my footing and identity, and I just saw the reality, for lack of better words, the matrix. I felt like I broke out of the matrix. I saw what was actually worth doing, and I don't think I would have done that if I didn't have this relentless ability to just keep learning. What helped me the most was a framework, which was reinventing yourself. So in the past 3 years, I reinvented myself quite a bit. That helps me become a more well-rounded person, but it also helped me cipher through the bullcrap of what works and what doesn't. And for you to reinvent your identity, you need to look at life in seasons. And this also helps with patience as well whenever you look at your life in seasons. So for example, it's March right now. December, January, February, cold, okay? And I looked at this 3-month season of, okay, it's going to be cold outside. I live in the South. I live in Tennessee. I'm just going to lock in, for lack of better words, and try to actually start a B2B software company and see if I could scale it without Facebook ads. If you look behind me, my VA is scaling my software company right now and getting customers while I record this video. She's outreaching. And I pretty much told my friends, look, we can hang out and whatnot, but this is the season I'm in and I have a vision for my life. And I think I could reasonably accomplish this vision in this 3-month time frame, which if you scale it out on a long enough time horizon, 3 months is a very short amount of time to be manic on a specific thing, specific business, very short amount of time. And within those 3 months, I made sure I was doing like 4 to 6 hours of work per day. When people have day jobs, they're obviously putting in 7 to 8 hours of work, but I was only doing 4 to 6 hours per day, sometimes 3 or 4, okay? Honestly, you can't put in 8 hours of work per day. I can't. Maybe work where you're not really engaging your brain. So when someone thinks of locking in a season and reinventing themselves and just being someone completely different than what they normally are, they think of it being hard work, but it really is not hard compared to the everyday person. And your goal is probably not to be an everyday person. And this kind of bleeds into working smarter and not harder. Majority of the time when you're working for a big company, you are doing almost mindless work. And if you're not on the C-suite list, the majority of your value pretty much comes from the time you put in at that job. And when you get off that job, this is your opportunity to reinvent yourself and make decisions that doesn't require a lot of hard work, but more so more thought. The work you're doing isn't necessarily hard. The work you're doing is based off of decision making. And that leads into my next thing. Decision making could either wreck your life or bless your life. And the more money or the more employees that you have, the more the pendulum swings to the other side. So what affects decision making? Your environment. Some would say genetics, but I would say both. But what you can't control is your environment. So I would recommend getting something like this. I bought it for like $30 on Amazon. It literally like 5x's the quality of your sleep, right? Because I got these big windows and the sun gets in. But yeah, your environment dictates your decision making. A lot of people think that you have to add more things in your environment and by the way, this might be surface level stuff to some people watching, but for the majority of the people watching, this is game-changing stuff. So a lot of people think that to make your environment better, you have to add things. Me personally, what made my environment better was taking things away, decluttering my wardrobe. I didn't necessarily throw away all my clothes, but I put majority of like my graphic tees and the different colors or whatever in my storage unit. Perhaps you could do it at your parents' house, whatever it is. And I just bought black t-shirts, okay? I have one pair of jeans, whole bunch of sweats to wear around the house, and the rest of my clothes is just athletic, like Nike stuff. So it'll influence me to go to the gym, which goes full circle and it helps with like my output in business. But so that's just with your wardrobe. That actually helped a lot in my decision making every morning. So ironically, taking away things in this life of surplus, physically or digitally, can actually make your life more efficient. Your fridge. Take away things from your fridge that'll make you feel like crap. Recently, I threw away all my snacks except for veggie straws, which is a snack, healthy snack probably. And I just bought fruit, mangoes, apples, oranges, blueberries, blackberries. And now when I snack, I just eat fruit. It sounds so surface level and basic, guys. But sometimes in this hectic and complex world, someone just needs to say the basic things. Declutter your wardrobe, declutter your fridge, and that'll bleed into your output in work or social, whatever it is. And then obviously I bought meat, red meat, eggs. Eggs are pretty much a super vitamin. If you feel like crap, if you have ADHD, if it's hard for you to focus, just eat like a couple eggs every morning. Sounds so surface level, but guys, eat a couple eggs every single morning and don't worry about cholesterol. Cholesterol in red meat and eggs, it correlates with 30% of your overall cholesterol. From what I read, the majority of your cholesterol doesn't come from foods. It comes from what your body produces. Okay, so if you're fat, you're going to produce more cholesterol. Don't believe the psyop with eggs, red meat, whatever it is. Now, red meat and cancer, I haven't looked into that, but I just know cholesterol, it's probably not all that bad with like eggs and red meat. So yeah, eggs, super vitamin, helps you focus. Red meat, still iffy about it. There's creatine in it. Creatine is almost a nootropic if you're trying to focus. Yeah, so anyways, that's the food. Kind of went on a side tangent. Another thing that you can eliminate is your digital environment. A lot of people think, man, I need to make more, so I should follow more people. Only follow the people that complements, and that's an accessory to your goals, okay? There was a time in my life where I unfollowed, bro, I've said this before, but I've unfollowed everyone from school because I thought that was at contrast, which it really is. I thought that was at contrast with my goals, which was to not go to school. And that helped because I don't feel judged. I was on a football team specifically in school. Bro, there's just judgy people on the team. And it's like, if you're doing anything outside of the norm and the context of what they're thinking, bro, you're just gonna feel judged. So anyways, basic stuff like unfollow people you don't like, who doesn't compliment, who's not complimentary to your goals. Follow people who aren't just motivational, but who are motivational in your specific sub niche of what you're trying to do. Like, be very specific with it, guys. When I bought my real estate property, driving 300 miles, sold the car for old truck, no AC, exhaust blowing my face. I was following like a whole bunch of Airbnb entrepreneurs. Now, no, I didn't know at the time, but they were trying to sell me a course. But I was so motivated and so in tune with my goal that that actually helped me. You know, driving down the road on the interstate, 3 hours from this apartment here in the city to the Smoky Mountains, I listened to that, and right when I got to the Airbnb, I was ready to renovate, do XYZ, so then I could list it and make money. So, anyways, for you guys, you know, if you're like a super beginner, there's nothing wrong with detoxing your social media, following Iman Ghazi, Jordan, just, you know, just like the young entrepreneurs, which, you know, they're trying to sell you a course, but it helps with motivation. So anyways, declutter your wardrobe, declutter your fridge, and then declutter your digital environment. Okay. So those three things help you reinvent your identity. All right. Perhaps if you're trying to be a social media influencer, buy more something that'll make you feel more like an influencer. Like you could be more edgy with your fashion and whatnot. I remember I was wearing like cross earrings, like one cross. It was fake. I didn't pierce my ears, but like I remember that helped me be in tune with what an influencer was. This was like when I was 17, guys. So that all in all helps you reinvent your identity. Number two, invest in inspiration. Where are you majority of the time? Is it an apartment that doesn't give you inspiration? Perhaps there might be mold on the wall and you look at that and you're like, "Ugh, I live in a dump." Like, guys, you got to get out of that situation. Do your neighbors, do you smell weed 3 days out of the week? Leave that place. I know you're a strong guy and you could probably suffer through it, but you're at a vulnerable point in your life where you're trying to transition into being an entrepreneur or whatever you want to take identity in. All of this stuff bleeds into what you become. Okay. So a lot of people would think, you know, so I'm thinking like in your position, like, what do you think? Invest in inspiration. Perhaps I could finance a car. No, don't do that. Invest in the inspiration where you are constantly. You're constantly wearing clothes. You're constantly eating. You're constantly on your phone, right? Like I just mentioned. Adjust all that. You're constantly in your apartment. You're constantly in your home. Invest in an environment where it'll inspire you to work. So high windows, light coming in, apartment, maybe in an apartment with a balcony where you could step out in the morning, set your circadian rhythm, get vitamin D, get that sunlight in your eyes. Perhaps you could move to an apartment with a gym. So rather than driving 15 minutes down the road in this rainy weather, and maybe you live in a bad zip code and people are cutting you off and it's just a negative vibe to hit the gym, perhaps you could just hit the elevator and go to the gym. Now, I'm aware that a lot of you guys don't have all the money in the world. It's reasonable if you have kids, you're taking care of a loved one, you're saving up for a down payment for a house, which buying a property, when you're aware of that there's other ways to make money, that's for another video. The question is, what are you saving your money from your job? Like, what are you going to, like, why? Like, I tell close ones around me, like, what are you saving your money for? Unpopular opinion, inflate your lifestyle just a little bit so you can feel better, right? And only inflate the part of your lifestyle where that's where you spend the majority of your time, right? Maybe you want to buy a better vehicle because you are a trucker and you want to feel better because 12 hours out of the day, you are driving on the interstate and you want to feel better in your vehicle. So that's number two, invest in inspiration only in things where you spend your most time around or in. That doesn't mean to buy a car, like maybe perhaps buy a car when you settle all the baseline stuff and you're getting income in and it's been a year, so it's proven like your income's coming in. Maybe that. All right, so that's that. Another framework, hard work doesn't mean productivity. And again, this might be like baseline knowledge for like the more advanced entrepreneurs, but the reason why people who own businesses make so much money and their lifestyles are great, it's solely because hard work, parentheses, time, does not correlate with money. That's the whole reason. So if you're in business and you're spending the majority of your time doing grunt work, you probably just aren't self-aware enough to realize that you should pass that off to someone else. Okay. And I don't want to hear about, oh, I got to pay people money. Bro, how much do you spend on Chipotle per month? Perhaps $200. This person behind me is working for around that. I can expose everything. There's no excuse if you are in business and the majority of your time is not being spent on high leverage decisions. And by high leverage decisions or things, I mean by making one ad to let Facebook ads do the grunt work, or making one ad for someone else to repurpose 10 times to post on 10 accounts. Or if you have 30,000 followers on Twitter, a high leverage thing would be to schedule out your tweets throughout the day. That's the high leverage thing. The low leverage thing is to be going around in the settings, making the posts, looking for the hashtags, typing it out like that. That's the low leverage thing. And like I said in the last video, social media only works with scale, whether that is scaling horizontally or scaling vertically. Okay, that's for another video. Now, I don't want you guys to get confused on doing micro sprints for a lifetime of leverage. Okay, if you're coding your app through Cursor, which is an AI coding platform, and it will only take you 14 days to make this app, and then you will have a product to sell forever, then that is a high leverage thing to do. If you are building a CRM, B2B, and you find yourself in Cursor, you just keep messing things up, and you keep breaking things, perhaps it'll be more high leverage to hire someone who has baseline knowledge in backend stuff with Cursor, right? AI, to use Cursor so you could spend your time on marketing. So it's hard to give like a one specific answer because everybody's different, but you guys have to adapt these frameworks in your life. Number 5, you're the average of your digital environment. I've already kind of went over this and it's so big, bro. One time I literally went to my friend who I'm kind of like helping out build this software company, and I got his phone and just unfollowed all the bull crap on his feed. It used to be you're the average of the 5 people that you're surrounded with. Now it is more so you're the average of the 5 people you follow on social media, compare yourself to. And I don't really have to go into that.